Greetings online travelers, I'm Aaron Tempest and this is my angle. Since the creation of YouTube, many content creators have tried to take creative liberties with whatever types of videos they make in order to stand out. One of the most common methods to spice up one's content is to add some kind of ongoing story or narrative to their videos. One of the most notable examples of this is Linkara's story on Atop the Fourth Wall, but we're not talking about him today. Rather, we're talking about someone in my neck of the woods, so to speak. As of late, we've had many commentators attempt to start plotlines or start implementing lore in their commentaries, myself included, but one of them has caught my attention as of late. Enter Doodletones. In this video, I would like to run through one of the most interesting methods of world building that I've seen in a solid minute in a commentary series. Now then, before we begin, allow me to give you a brief synopsis of her story thus far.
Prologue, the story thus far.
Essentially, Doodle's plot revolves around the SS Dootopia, a ship that hosts Doodletones from alternative universes. To prevent confusion, each Doodletones is given a name based off of what sector they are from. For example, our Doodletones comes from Sector E, so she is referred to as Elizabeth. Simple enough. Currently, there are 25 officially registered Doodletones, one for each sector of the alphabet. The ship's captain is the Doodletones from Sector Z, who goes by the name of Z. Original name, I know. She runs the ship with her fellow admins, Ginger, UV, and Valerie. The story has been focused on meeting some of the other Doodletones on the ship until recently. As of now, Sugar, the AU Doodle that was responsible for Elizabeth's arrival on the ship, has gone missing after being told about a mysterious incident by Z. Meanwhile, Elizabeth has found herself deep in the ship's archives, being led around by a mysterious voice that claims to be Sugar. As of now, Naomi is searching for Sugar on the ship, while Z and Ginger are searching for her in the archives. Elizabeth, meanwhile, has managed to stumble into another character lurking in the archives who goes by the name of Willow. Now, due to the difficulties of introducing every single AU Doodle on the ship in her commentary series proper, Doodle started the Doodle a Day, a series of pictures where she would focus on one AU Doodle and give a short summary of each one. Though, this little series serves another purpose. It is my belief that these seemingly innocent series of images hold some hidden secrets just waiting to be unearthed by those who know where to look. So join me, online travelers, for a venture into the 25 days of Doodle. So without further ado, let's charge ahead.
Day 1. Annabelle. Here's an AU Doodle that I haven't had a chance to show off. Her name is Annabelle. She runs the ship's library.
The first thing that draws my attention would be the series of symbols on the board to the right. It appears that Annabelle herself is attempting to crack this code, as one of the books she's reading is titled, How to Read Moon Runes. However, I can assure you, this message was not written in moon runes. I've checked. Valatora? We seem to have an encrypted message on our hands. Could you decipher this message for us? Of course. Yikes, over 20? Knock yourself out. In the meantime, let's move on to the next image.
Day 2. Beth. Continuing on introducing all the AU Doodles via picture, this, as you may all know, is Beth. Beth is a caregiver for pets on the ship. Here, she's taking care of a critter while their owner is away. Now listen here, little critter. I know it's not quite like Mama's goggles, but they're close. You're reminding me of her already.
The first thing that catches my eye in this image is the S stamped on our critter's bed. One might assume that this critter belongs to Sugar, but Sugar has never been seen wearing goggles of any kind, so that's unlikely. I think it might be referring to someone else. But who?
Day 3. Carol. Carol, for those who remember her, is titled the Mother of the Ship. However, at the end of the day, she's just the ship's nurse who checks up on the other AU Doodles if she needs to, making sure everyone is okay.
Now this is where things get a little more interesting. I would like to take a look at that calendar. You see those red markings? Well, what if I were to tell you that those markings make out the word sky if you read them in Braille? You might ask, what does that matter, Aaron? After all, there's a picture of a sky with a couple of planes flying around on the calendar itself. Well, my retort is to simply look at the board. There are a couple of points of interest present here. Point A, Tuesday's schedule. If we look at all of the appointments in blue, we have Madeline, Annabelle, Ginger, Ivy, and Karma. Take the first letter of each, and you get Magic. Spelled with a K, because let's face it, it would make no sense for Carol to give herself an appointment. Point B. This faded sketch of a girl and a UFO, reducing the brightness and increasing the contrast gives us a clearer picture. It seems we have ourselves a little code to decipher. Excellent work. And now that we have the image darkened, point C reveals itself to us. A simple message. I miss her. My guess is this Skylar character is the true owner of the ship, and considering her name, she must also be from Sector S. She seemed to have disappeared rather recently, and she was well liked by other members of the ship. That would explain Beth's picture. It's most likely the case that Skylar was the owner of that critter in question, since the description of her picture stated the owner was away.
Day 4. D. Some on the ship wonder why D is there and what her purpose is. She doesn't seem to have a consistent job or hobby that any one standard person can point out. However, in reality, she's really fond of photography and was given a hidden darkroom on the ship.
I must admit, I do appreciate a well-taken photo. Perhaps we should take a look at Dee's handiwork. Well, I hate to sound rude, but I don't think the photos on the board seem complete. Almost as if they're scattered pieces of a puzzle. Give me a minute, please. I think some reorganizing is in order. Now, this is a photo. Here we have ourselves a nice shot of Ginger, Valerie, UV, Z, and a mysterious girl with a scarf. I wish to say it's Skylar, but Dee's other photos have blocked her face, so I can't confirm it at the moment. Maybe I could get a better look with some saturation. Well, we may not have gotten anything on the photos themselves, but I think sometimes it's better to look at the bigger picture.
Do not trust false prophets.
What an interesting warning. Z stated that she doesn't charge residents of the ship for rent.
There's no such rent. We chose you to arrive here. It would make no sense to force you into payment.
Who would be making a profit on the ship in general? And more importantly, how?
Day 5. Elizabeth. Ah, yes, everyone's favorite of the doodles on the ship. In sarcasm. One of the 2 commentators on the ship and the newest one to be abducted, just behind Sugar, currently lost in the archives. Hey Red, the stick in the mud got off her throne. You can get here soon, that'd be swell.
There seems to be nothing of note in the picture itself, but I'm pretty sure I've heard something like that before.
Anyway, you're like the last 2 people I've asked minus Z. But have either of you 2 seen Sugar? No, I haven't seen Sweet Thing in a while, and Stick in the Mud won't be of any help to you, always trapped in a room.
If I didn't know better, I'd say either our mysterious intercom lady has the best surveillance system known to man, or Jasmine is somehow connected to this little archive plot.
Day 6. Feet. Fee doesn't really have a single purpose on the ship. She's always just called around to do whatever odd jobs people need her to do at any given time. Though as much help as she does around the ship, she's still sometimes treated as a child by the meaner members. Hey, get back here! Or what? You'll tell Z about little old Ivy being mean to you?
Well, Ivy seems like a pleasant individual, doesn't she? Sarcasm aside, this image is unique because it's the only one surrounded by an ominous border, topped off with a bunch of glyphs. It's a little dark to read all of them, so we'll need to brighten up the image first. While it appears to be written in French, I see we're dealing with an individual of culture.
Don't worry, my child. Changes will come. Once the chain's free, time to play again.
Sounds like an ominous prophecy if you ask me. I have my suspicions, but nothing quite concrete yet. Let's move on.
Day 7. Ginger. Ginger, the ship's second in command. Total hibernophile that doubles as the ship's guard and welcoming committee. Currently in the archives on the lookout for trespassers.
I don't see any hidden messages in this picture, but we might have ourselves a hidden person instead. So it seems, no one else has pigtails like hers, though we're the nice ones indeed. I'm starting to wonder if that's a good thing at this point.
Day 8. Hazel. Hazel stays pretty quiet and tight-lipped on the ship. She, similarly to Fee, doesn't have one job to attend to, but she's kept around like an unofficial therapist of sorts. People seem to entrust her with secrets and problems they may have.
Well, well, well. It seems like I got my confirmation after all. Remember Dee's picture? Well, Hazel has given me the proof I need to put a name to that face. Take a look at this photo. Seem familiar? It should. The outfit checks out, scarf and all. Because of the following 2 elements. First, let's talk about Beth's picture for a moment. Those discarded red goggles match the ones our mysterious girl was wearing in the photo. Second, as we established, Carol's calendar spells sky with an image of airplanes accompanying it. I believe Skylar's symbol of sorts is an airplane. Exactly.
Day 9. Ivy. Ivy is the ship's fashionista and costume designer, often found working alongside the Sector W's own Winnie, who she has taken up as an apprentice of sorts. Here's an interaction they had one day.
I'm kinda surprised you would have an outfit like this, Ivy. Typically, this wouldn't be your taste.
Oh, I've just been feeling nostalgic lately. This was an outfit an old friend used to wear.
What an interesting set of outfits. Wait a minute, I've seen that hat and cane before. Didn't Hazel have them on top of her counter? I guess Ivy's old friend is friends with Hazel as well. Speaking of old friends, let's talk about those outfits on the far right. Looks like Ivy's got a copy of Skylar's outfit, conveniently labeled S. As for the outfit labeled W, well, we know who that outfit belongs to. Our little stowaway Willow. How fascinating.
Day 10. Jasmine. The entertainer on the ship, known for being a little flirty with some of the other members on the ship. Here she has Ivy and Hazel with her to get ready for something. Alright, prepare yourselves, girls. She's just downstairs. I'm gonna need you two to spring into action. Just remember the plan.
It seems like Jasmine is a bit of a schemer. Though I can't really make out any solid details due to Jasmine playing the pronoun game and a lack of general understanding of the ship's layout.
Day 11. Karma. The one with the rabbit ears here. Kind of a barkeep to the ship, though she doesn't actually serve anything alcoholic, just a bunch of sodas and juices. She herself is the only one who actually drinks on the ship.
Here we have Madeline, Yule, and Rhea. We'll get back to them soon. What I'm focused on now are the messages written on the back of Karma's table.
Reminder, the soda needs cold. Essence is allergic to cherries. We don't tell those who don't know. But why? Break in and die. Invest in whiteboard.
Essence. What a curious name. Especially considering that no one we know of has that name. I'll be sure to keep that in mind.
Day 12. Madeline. Madeline is the maid of the ship. She goes room to room, cleaning up what she can. She stays to herself otherwise, but will willingly listen to someone rattle off about themselves. May sometimes ask for help on cleaning duty from her roommate, Winnie.
Looks like Winnie has been a busybody as of late. I mean, look at that board. That is not the board of an idle mind. You might be onto something. I believe that these seemingly random dots and lines are some kind of code. Morse code to be exact. If we transcribe the code, assuming that every color represents a new letter, then we get the following message.
Who is Little, and why can't I learn about her?
Who is Little indeed? I might have an answer for that. I assert that this Little character used to be the Doodle Tones from Sector L. Let us consider that message written under the Morse code. Remember to ask Ivy. Remember in Ivy's picture, she has an outfit labeled L, the one that Winnie was wearing to be precise. That must have been Little's outfit. That stand is labeled E, right? So my guess is that outfit might belong to Essence, whoever that might be.
Day 13. Naomi. She used to do music reviews, now is both tech help for Sugar and general help on the ship. Currently looking for Sugar to no avail. Look, all I'm telling you is that I have not much in common with Elizabeth. Have you ever tried to get involved with what she's interested in? Look, if it's any consolation, I didn't really connect with S.
You really shouldn't say that name.
In case someone who wasn't around for that is now. Fair, but I didn't really see her eye to eye either.
Sorry ladies, the cat's out of the bag on that one. Talking about Essence, are we? After all, no one else has a name that starts with ESS. No matter, it appears that she was Beth's former roommate, and it doesn't seem she was well liked to boot. Interesting.
Day 14. Olivia. Ah yes, the plant doodle. Typecast as the plant caretaker of the ship. Having her own artificial greenhouse on the ship, she's able to grow things for the holidays and for others on the ship. She didn't grow the tree though, that's artificial.
Aw, that's cute. Each of the ornaments refer to an AU doodle on the ship. The black ornament with a skull on it refers to Fee, the blue one with a mailbox refers to Valerie, and so on and so forth. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a bad omen to me.
Day 15. Poppy. A very nosy fairy who flies around the ship checking on everyone. She delves into the dreams of others on the ship, deciphering how they are emotionally, and if need be, will use her magic to make the dreams of those who aren't having good nights better.
It appears that Z was quite fond of Skylar. I mean, she's smiling. I didn't think she was physically capable of expressing happiness in any capacity. Ah, but Skylar was also present in that photo, wasn't she?
Day 16. Quinn. Primarily, she's known as the ship's clairvoyant, able to see vague images into the future, never knowing what they mean. However, few can understand her, so she's often seen alone and isolated if she's not partaking in the ship's book club. I dreamed John Fusty Cater cousin arrived this lodging, nimble-footed at the one who is to that, sent that lady up. I doth not know of what is this bodement value, though I speaketh to the present day as a warning.
Oh lord, she speaks in the Shakespearean English. I'd bite my thumb at thee, but that would be unbecoming of a gentleman. In layman's terms, I think Quinn is saying the following. I dreamed of an old-fashioned friend arriving on the ship, swift towards the one who sent the lady off. I don't know what this forebodes to, but I say this now as a warning. Though, I could be off. It's been a while since I've had to read Shakespearean English. Either way, something smells rotten in Denmark.
Day 17. Rhea. You guys kinda already know this one. Rhea is the jelly doodle from Countdowns. However, ever since her last appearance, she's been doing a job. She was assigned the job of taking care of the characters stowed away on the ship. This one's got some special cameos in it.
Yes, you're hilarious. Speaking of quality characters, let's talk about Snow for a minute. Snow has been an interesting player in this little story. I've noticed a couple of characters have taken an interest in her. Jasmine in particular comments that she looks familiar.
But you look kind of familiar. Do I know you? I don't think so?
It wouldn't be a stretch to assume that Jasmine might have mistaken Snow for Skylar. I mean, I don't blame her. They do look alike, right down to the scarf. I don't think so. In any case, let's move on before I blast Tangerine Glaze here with another giant laser.
Day 18. Sugar. The second newest on the ship and one of two commentators over Elizabeth. Current location, unknown.
A simple framed photo of Sugar and Naomi. But that's not all this picture holds, for if we raise the brightness and contrast, we find a phrase scribbled along the walls.
We don't tell those who do not know.
There's those fabled words again. We've seen these words mentioned in Karma's picture. Almost seems like an ARC phrase at this rate.
Day 19. Tabitha. Ex-entertainer, Tabitha took a retirement after an incident occurred within the ship that caused her to quit. Nowadays, she, albeit very rarely, helps around the ship with odd jobs if no one else is around. Wonder if things would be different if people were more honest with each other.
In this picture, we have two sets of numbers to work with. Let's start with the easier of the two, 1638. This is a timestamp. Specifically, it's a timestamp intended to be used in the DoodleCom story video. Starting the video at that time gives us the following conversation.
Oh, hey Hazel. Hey Carol. What's up?
Oh, just taking a trip down memory lane. Don't worry too much about it.
Considering Winnie is featured here, it's safe to assume that this trip down memory lane involved our good friend Little. Now then, on to the next set of numbers, 082917015. I believe the first 6 numbers refer to a date, namely August 29th, 2017. Well, it just so happens that a specific commentary was posted onto YouTube that day, an ode to magic, to be precise. I'm glad you asked. You see, since the first 6 numbers leads to a date where a specific video was uploaded, I suspect that the last 3 numbers refers to a timestamp within said video.
Oh, well, you seem nicer than the last one already.
Last one? Long story.
Nicer than the last one indeed. Well, considering that everyone on the ship is familiar with the naming convention at this time, it's safe to assume that Olivia might have been referring to another Sector E doodle. As for the identity, we only have a name, Essence. It seems that she might be a bigger player in this narrative than I thought.
Day 20. UV. The Unit of Various Exports of Information, or UV for short, is the ship's computer. She is in charge of keeping track of where the ship goes, who uses what transporter, who sends what message, what the surveillance shows, you know, the works.
Not so fast, Valatora. We're not deciphering the binary in that image. Well, if you look at the different sites that this post was located, you'll find that they all have this image. Except on Twitter. That version contains a video filled to the brim with scrolling binary text. This is what I want you to decode for us. Well, what does the message say? Is that so? How many messages are there? Well, consider me interested. Venturing to this page, we get a document titled, "I promise there's nothing here." Agreed. Now then, the actual content of this document is where things get interesting. On the surface, it seems like random gibberish, but by now we should know that things aren't always as they seem around here. Luckily, I happen to know what these assortment of characters mean. It's base 64 encoding. Now we're getting somewhere. It seems like we have 3 people in this shot, and it seems at least one of these 3 are quite familiar indeed. We know the one on the right is Willow, the most recent character introduced to us properly. Speaking of which, Valatora, do we have any data regarding Willow?
Willow, an outlaw who used to be the ship's craft manager. She often helped Ivy on the ship create the designs for her outfits. Hence why Ivy has such an affinity for Winnie nowadays. But after an event occurred that caused a fight amongst the others on the ship, was banished alongside a few others.
Interesting. So it would be safe to assume that all 3 of these ladies have been banished by the captain. I wouldn't say that. I think I have a solid grasp on the identity of these 2 ladies. Notice anything about them? That's to be expected. After all, we've seen these outfits before. Recall Ivy's picture for a moment. The outfit labeled E matches the outfit of the lady on the left, which means that this is the mysterious Essence in the flesh. As for the lady in the center, well, she's wearing the outfit labeled L, is she not? Thus, this lady is Little, the woman who managed to elude Winnie in spite of her investigation of sorts. There's just one more detail I would like to mention before we move on. It seems that Essence and Winnie are playing a game of poker dice, a game that Willow is clearly losing. Well, where there's poker, there are bets, and where there are bets, there are profits to be won. Although in this case, I don't think Willow will ever get a payout from gambling with Essence. Recall Dee's image for a moment, particularly the message that image was hiding. It seems that Essence is not to be trusted on the poker table, though it's unclear if she's working for Little here, or if Little merely finds Essence's antics amusing. Speaking of Little, this isn't the first time we've actually seen her. If I'm not mistaken, she's the mysterious voice that has been guiding Elizabeth throughout the ship.
Ugh, finally found one of your stupid maps. Now to figure out where the hell I am and where the exit is.
I'm a little underwhelmed myself at just how little you cared to read on everyone, but, alas, the show's not yet over. The main event will be soon.
And just on cue.
As you can see here, that arm matches the outfit, so it's safe to assume that she's the mastermind behind this little plot, and I would hedge my bets that she was the one behind that little event mentioned in Willow's entry too.
Day 21. Valerie. One of the 4 admins of the ship, alongside Ginger, UV, and Z. She works as the postwoman of the ship, delivering the mail that may come through the different universes. Here, she wound up obtaining a letter, but doesn't have a clue what it means.
It looks like we have ourselves a mysterious letter on our hands. Seems like some sort of code, and it was written in the color blue. Why, yes I did. May I see that copy real quick? Well, I'll be. That is quite strange. The letters here are different as well. Valatora, where did you get this copy? Interesting. I got this one from Twitter. Indeed I do. Valatora, where else has this image been uploaded? Alright, we have 4 different copies of Valerie's mystery letter, each with a different set of characters written on them in a different color. A good eye. Let's overlay them and see what happens. Well, Valatora, it seems like you were correct. Overlaying these 4 images reveals the full content of the mysterious letter.
As alternate universes exist, one must remember every possibility can be unlocked with a little nudge and even more magic. L.
Well, we already know who L is at this point, but still, hiding an interdimensional message in plain sight? That's actually pretty clever. Though, if Little was capable of performing such a feat, it's safe to assume that Little was the one who left that mysterious message in Fi's picture. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if Little was the one behind that encoding mess of symbols in Annabelle's picture as well.
Day 22. Winnie. Winnie's job has a lot of layers, and by that I mean she's a self-titled student on the ship, learning and helping out just about every doodle with their jobs, helps Madeline with cleaning, Ivy with modeling her designs, Karma with bartending, and whatever else.
There doesn't seem to be much here, or at least not at first glance. Winnie's little off-screen investigation has turned up something after all. She seems to have gotten her hands on a certain magic wand, Little's magic wand to be precise. And when there's a mention of Little, there's a hidden message to be found as well. However, the flavor text of this image gives the game away. Winnie's job has a bunch of layers. If we duplicate this image on top of itself numerous times, we get a little cameo from Gan, or more commonly known as Kansu the Weeaboo, and we get a series of messages written in the background.
We cannot be replaced. Admins are the bad guys. Sit on your throne of betrayal. Send Sky away. The messenger's mistake will not be forgotten.
From these messages, we can assume that that little incident from Winnie's post has caused a bit of unrest on the ship. Notably, this incident is most likely how Skylar got banished in the first place, considering the message, "Send Sky away." Considering that, unlike people like Essence, Skylar was well liked by other members of the ship, it's no wonder why some would consider the admins the bad guys. Speaking of the admins, the message "Sit on your throne of betrayal" and "We cannot be replaced" are pointed straight at the Captain Z. After all, Z is mostly concerned with filling her quota, as established in her first appearance. The only reason why Elizabeth is still on the ship is because Z has not found a replacement yet. Furthermore, the fact that Sugar is even on the ship is a problem in the first place. Considering how close Z and Skylar were, it would be safe to assume that Skylar was an admin before her banishment. The fact that someone so close to Z could be so easily replaced means that everyone can be replaced as soon as Z sees them as useless, redundant, or problematic. No wonder morale is so low.
Day 23. Zara. The lady in pink and green, Zara is the leader of an unofficial drama club where she and a few of the others from the ship practice improv, acting, and their overall entertaining abilities. Something seems up today, though.
Something is up indeed. It seems that the focus of this unofficial drama club meeting is Skylar, as seen by this little image of her here. It appears she was really close to Beth as well, considering Beth was brought to tears like that. Now, Jasmine's presence there implies that she's trying to enact her little plan with Ivy and Hazel. If I were to guess, she's most likely trying to get Beth in on the plan as well, but that's merely speculation on my part. Now then, let's talk about those banners. Of course, considering everything else we've talked about here, I think the banners are fair game. What are you gonna do, skip to the next section?
Day 24. Yule. The ship's event planner, Yule, is very festive, changing her entire aesthetic to prepare for whatever holiday is coming up. This image takes place during a time where Yule is preparing for Valentine's Day.
First and foremost, rude. Second, it appears that Yule has a skeleton in her closet as well. The chest, not an actual skeleton. The bottom of this chest is divided into 3 sections. The section on the left depicts 3 people, with one of them wearing a top hat. Therefore, it's safe to assume that this section is referring to Little. The section on the right, on the other hand, has 3 people depicted under an airplane. A very familiar airplane at that. This section is most likely referring to Skylar. That leaves the section in the middle. It depicts 3 people on a boat. I'm willing to bet that this section refers to Z. She is the ship's captain after all, and she wears a sailor's outfit to boot. As for what this means, well, unfortunately, this is where I'm at a loss for an explanation.
Day 25. Z. The ship's captain. She tends to be very orderly, very formal, calculated, and to the point. Not very tolerant of shenanigans, chicanery, or impropriety due to an event that once happened on board. Currently in the archives looking for someone. Ah, I see. A puzzle. How quaint. She always was fond of puzzles, wasn't she? Some things never change, do they?
Well, 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 if it isn't everyone's least favorite captain, she's found herself in quite a pickle indeed. I don't envy her position at the very least. Regardless, we have ourselves another instance of the pronoun game. However, I believe she's referring to Little in this case. Considering Valerie's picture, it wouldn't surprise me that Little is into puzzles.
Conclusion. Errands afterward.
And there you have it. That wraps up all of the major puzzles found in the Doodle a Day series. It was certainly an interesting journey to say the least. If you think there's something I missed, feel free to make your own speculations and theories in the comments below. I must admit, I'm rather impressed by the scope and creativity of some of these puzzles. Even I wouldn't do something this complicated for the sake of lore. Ah, Lalatora, there's something I needed to ask you about before we close. Did you ever get around to decoding Annabelle's picture? What? Really? Why didn't you say anything? What do you mean the video is outdated? You have got to be kidding me.
Mistress was a fool for the court of the throne. The show of magic will begin when she is freed from her shackles. The savior is a mechanic, creator of the ship. Would you mind doing me a solid and taking these off of me? They're incredibly heavy.